Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the start of week number 3 of 2024. My name is Dave Scott. This is Spaced Out Radio, and we are talking channeling tonight. Barry Strohm is our guest, and we'll bring Barry in very momentarily because we are in for a wonderful, wonderful show. All right, first, let us say hello to Race Fan in the gold medal position, Chris 716 in the silver, Dino Bravo with a bronze medal tonight. And let's say hello to each and every one of you. Michael Morris, the attorney at large, Robert Lamoth, Jimmy Gonzalez, thank you all for coming on in. Karen in the Woo Train, Forrest Louie, and Chef Chris, thank you for coming on in. Hello, Samantha Hazelwood Gray, Jessica Davenport, nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call tonight. All right, let's get right down to it. Desert Rat is here. Desert Rat will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Time Travel, how you doing, my man? And Tim Mothman and Tim Mothman's Goatee, two separate entities. Good to have you here. Okay, continuing on with our roll call here. Let us say hello next to Jenny Whitebear. Thank you for coming on in. And who else is here? Let's see here. Woo Am I? Woo Am I will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Lee the Bee, how you doing? David Warman, Les Paul Holland, good to have you all here. Thank you for coming on in. Roger Murray and Sandra Kincaid, W. David Page, Digger Dog, thank you for joining us. Angela Ellison, welcome to SOR Chat. And who else do we have here? We have Kurt M. and Millennium, my man. T-Bone, I haven't got to your message yet on the other one, but I did notice that you messaged me. I will get to it. Number 3 in your program, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Gizmo, how you doing, my man? Nice to see you. And Joanne, thanks for coming on in. David Hayworth, good to see you. Stargazer, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Christy Abels and Shade Viking. And who else is here? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Continuing on here. Let's see here. Let's see. Where am I? Pixie Lara, thank you for joining us. And Louie, thank you for kicking off the super chat. Much love to you for kicking things off like you usually do. Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. W. Decker, thank you as well for your amazing Super Chat. Very much appreciate your love and support. Paul Demon, Nikki Williams, how you doing? And who else do we have here? Nikki Williams is going to be our guest later this Friday. She's going to be amazing talking about near-death experiences. Skip to Malou and Laura Lobbs, nice to see you. And Susan Alloway, thank you for coming on in. Hi, Marty Burback and POTUS. Good to see you both. Dizzy, what's happening, man? Thank you for joining us. Hi, Paramarv. Good to see you. And Renee Cruz. And who else do we have in the chat room so far? Let us say hello to Rayfin and Tokeland. Thank you for coming on in. Hi, Candy Wolf. Asimov, good to see you. Let's get the radio side going here. Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are talking channeling spirits. Barry Strohm is our guest tonight on the radio and podcast side. Good to have you with us as we say hello to Bill WD40 in the chat room on Spreaker. He is lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You never want to go in rigidity or anything like that. Wolverine, how you doing? Thank you for coming on in. Good morning, Commonwealth Andrew. And we are almost set up here, people. We're almost ready to go. I want to remind you about the Super Chat. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. As well, go shopping at spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. You can actually wear our clothing out in public and not be embarrassed. No, you're not going to wear it to a garage sale or for painting the house or cleaning the kitty litter. You can actually wear ours out. That's why we do not have ugly swag. So make sure you go shopping at spacedoutradio.com today. We got about 6 seconds left. We're going to rock this house. I need you to do me a favor. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. You can join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a fantastic show tonight. Long time, no time for our guest, Barry Strohm, who likes to channel spirits using a talking board. We're going to find out about that here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing brings us another creepy story, followed up by our good friend, Courtney Marcassani, who is coming in for the UFO report. All right, I'm ready. Are you? I hope so, because here we go. Barry Strohm is currently the author of 10 books, all of which are available on Amazon, All books purchased through his website are personalized, so that way you can actually get them autographed. Here's a list: Haunting and History of the Battle of Gettysburg, Afterlife, What Really Happens on the Other Side, Spirits Speak of Conspiracies and Mysteries, Aliens Among Us, Exploring the Past and Present, and many more. His latest book, Modern Messages of the Archangels, is a compilation of channeled messages from 20 archangels that provides never-before available information about angelic energies. He's a good friend of this show, even though we kind of lost touch, but I'm so glad we reconnected. Barry Strohm is finally back on Spaced Out Radio. How are you, my friend?
Hey, great to be back. Believe it or not, I'm not lying about this, but I actually did miss you being on the show. Always enjoyed it.
I don't know what happened because we used to bring you on a few times a year to channel spirits for us. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Poof, I was gone. You were gone. And it's been way too long, my friend.
Well,
way too long.
Happy to be back.
Absolutely glad to have you back. Now, you are somebody who has an interesting lead into the paranormal because you have not actually been doing this a long time compared to, no offense, your age and everything that goes along with that. How did you get started in this field for our audience?
Well, I didn't even believe in ghosts till I was about 60 years old. Now that being said, I'm 81, so that is a bit ago. But I bought that antique gallery in Pennsylvania near Gettysburg. Never spent much time there when I was doing other things. But situations changed, and I had to spend time there. And all of a sudden, I realized that that was one of the most haunted buildings you ever put a foot into. Uh, it came as a shock to me. We had, I mean, we had a portal in the basement that I didn't realize was there. Uh, I mean, it was an awful education. We learned a lot of things about ghosts. I got a huge number of photographs of them. We even put a infrared camera on the portal down on the wall in the basement. You got pictures of the ghosts coming through the wall back and forth. So there's no doubt about it. Ghosts certainly exist.
So at 60 years old, what happened? What was that one incident at the museum that really convinced you that hauntings and ghosts were real?
Well, we had the people that worked for me had all these stories. And once I started spending time there, things would move into cases, uh, weird things would take place. So I went out and I got this paranormal investigation team to come in. Now, they brought a psychic with them. I had never met a psychic before. Okay. So they're going to do this investigation. And I'm teamed up with the psychic, and we're sitting in the dark in the store. And she says, "There's a little girl here." And I'm going, "Yeah, right, sure." She said, "The girl's name is Clarissa, and she wants to show you this doll." I go, "There's no dolls around here, believe me." So I said, "Well, all right, have her take me to the doll." Lights are out. So come to the first aisle. I say, "Should we turn here?" Psychic says no. Next aisle, turn here. Psychic says no. Come to the third aisle, turn here. And the psychic says, "Yes, turn left." So we start down the aisle, and all of a sudden we lose all this contact. So I thought, all right, she's exactly what I thought. She's making this stuff up. So about a half an hour later, it's time to take a break. So I had to go down to the breaker boxes, and I threw the lights, and I was coming back from the opposite direction where we lost the contact. And right where we lost the contact, I looked in the display case, and here's the pink doll that the psychic had described. So she led us right to the doll. I'm going,
Weird.
"Well, this must be pretty good." Took a lot of pictures. One of the pictures came back where we had an investigator standing looking in a mirror, and there were two ghosts standing behind him, just as clear as could be. They were so clear that we thought it was part of the investigating team. So, I mean, they really put a show on for this first time for me. So now I'm pretty much into the program. We were about 8 miles out of Gettysburg. So I started going out on the battlefield and taking photographs.
Right.
And man, I started getting pictures of soldiers, things that I took pictures of fairies, real ones. I mean, stuff that I wouldn't even hardly admit were out there. Wound up writing my first book, and we published over 200 ghost pictures I took at Gettysburg, and that was that Haunting and History book. And then things just took off. My wife was called to jury duty out here in Park City, Utah. She goes into jury duty, sits down next to a woman. They become good friends, and we spend about a year or so having dinner and doing things back and forth. And Connie decides she's going to tell the woman what I'm doing back in Pennsylvania, which now I'm really into the ghosts. I'm talking to them, doing a bunch of things. The woman says, "Well, then I guess you won't care if I tell you that my parents were psychics, and we've been talking to spirits for 30 years. So Connie asks how they're doing it. And the woman says, "Well, we use a channeling board. It's a special round board. It's not a Ouija, but two of us get on the board and we get these messages. And they invite me to come in and sit in on one of their sessions. So next time I'm in Salt Lake area. They got this office set up. They have a channeling board, and they're on both sides. And I walk in and sit down at the table. And the first message that comes over the channeling board is, "Hello, Barry, we've been waiting for you." I went, "Oh, man." So they started to tell me all the things that I was doing back in Pennsylvania with the ghosts, which nobody in this room had any idea what was taking place. So needless to say, I am incurably hooked at this point, because now I want to learn to communicate just like my friends are doing. So we built a channeling board, and Connie and I started to practice on this thing. And it was not easy. It took us almost 2 years until we started to really get meaningful messages out of it. But all of a sudden, I'm communicating with all the ghosts back in the store. And we're learning things that I simply can't believe are going on around us. It was utterly amazing. We had all kinds of spirits coming in. I was talking to animals. We had lost our cat about 15 years earlier. And one night I'm on the channeling board, and his name was Bodacious. So I had talked to other people's animals. So I thought, well, let me take a shot at this. So I said, "Bodie, can I speak with you?" And over the channeling board, I get the message, "I thought you'd never ask."
Oh, nice.
So now I'm talking to my dead cat on the channeling board. It gets really weird. So I said, "Well, Bodie, would you come back to us? We'd love to have you back. You were such a good pet." And we were spending most of our time back in Pennsylvania at the time. We had this little apartment, and we weren't spending much time in our home here. So the message I get on the channeling board is, "No, I'm not coming back until I have my proper home back." The damn cat wouldn't come back while we were living in Pennsylvania in the apartment. So this goes on for like a year. I'm talking back and forth with the cat. So finally, Bodhi says, "Okay, I'll come back, but I want the same name. I want to be called Bodacious. I'll come back to you as a black kitten. I will find you in 13 months. So time goes by. 13 months are up. And we were working with another psychic at the time, and we had the board out. So I said to the guide, I said, "Is Bodhi back yet?" And the message comes back, "Is Bodhi this cat to which you were referring, this black cat?" And Donna, the psychic that I'm with, goes, "Are you waiting for a black cat to come back?" And I went, "Yes, she's due to return." And she says, "Well, I think I saw your Bodhi." I mean, "What do you mean you saw our Bodhi?" She said, my father's buried in a cemetery down in Baltimore. And I was down putting flowers on his grave. And the caretakers came to me and said, "We have some kittens, some ferals. Would you like to have some pets?" I said, "No, but I'll look at them." And I walked over, and she said, "This little black kitten came out on the porch and stared at me. I think that's your Bodhi." Now, this is 100 miles away from the store, by the way. So I said, "Well," I asked the guide, I said, "Is that Bodhi?" And the guide says, "Yes, your Bodhi is back." Call
Oh, wow.
down. And this is within 1 week when the cat says it's going to show up, right? So we called down. We said, "We want the black kitten." Connie and I drive down the next afternoon, and we walk over to where the cats are, and they're living under the porch of the caretaker's place. It's a cemetery. So we walk over, and this little black kitten gets up, walks over, stares at Connie, and runs back under the porch and would not come out for us. They were closing, so we had food, we had everything, and this little black kitten is not going to come out. But there was a tabby cat there as well that was parading around, just as cute as could be. So they were closing, so we had to leave without the cats, and we're driving up the road, and we both get the idea, "I'll bet you Bodhi wants company. We better take the second cat as well." Get on the phone. I said, "We'll be down in the morning. We'll take both cats." drive back to Baltimore the next morning. We walk over, both those kittens come up on the porch, and we're out of there in 5 minutes. Bodie was definitely my wife's cat. We get back up to the store, and Connie said, "I'll bet you there's something about this second kitten." And so we get the channeling board out, and I asked the guide, I said, "Who is the tabby cat?" And the answer comes back, "The tabby cat was your daughter's dog Ginger in her last life." So now, so the tabby was my daughter's dog that died. So now we have both animals out of our soul family. So as if this isn't crazy enough. I mean, and the black cat has the same personality, and she is so my wife's cat. So one night we're channeling, and Connie says, I just have the feeling that I had that Bodie's been with me more than 2 times. So we had the channeling board there, and I said to the guide, I said, "Has Bodie ever been with my wife before she was a cat?" On the channeling board with the glass, it spells out the word starlight. So I look kind of, I said, "What in the world is starlight?" And Connie says, "That was my pony when I was a child." The soul, that animal soul, has been with her as a pony and a cat 2 different times in this life.
Wow. Talking about an addicted spirit, that's for sure, Barry. As you went through this and these experiences, I mean, to see so much synchronicity happen within animals, which kittens are pretty innocent, mischievous, but innocent. I mean, you had to think that this was something that you were going into a land of the unknown, eyes wide open.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, just as all of these experiences kept happening, it's it was becoming so bizarre. I mean, we had done a private session one time using the channeling board in the store, and the woman, she had prayed to Mother Mary, and Mary actually comes in to speak to her through us on the channeling board. I mean, the first time we felt this energy, I mean, we all had tears, and I mean, it was spectacular. But about a month later, we had the channeling board in the apartment. Now, Leo, our tabby cat, and this is really amazing, I think, we had a box up on the counter that the tabby was laying in, and we were channeling. And Mary comes in with a message for us. And we get the message on the board, and she leaves. As soon as she leaves, the tabby cat stands up in the box and looks at me. And I said, "Oh, Leo, do you want something?" And the message comes on the board, "I cannot believe I just saw Mary." Can you imagine a cat energy realizing that it just saw the mother of Jesus?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Barry.
Um,
I mean, it's stories like that to make, I hate to tell you, it makes it hard to believe
oh, yeah.
because I mean, unless you're participating in it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, unless you're participating in it, I mean, nobody really thinks that, outside of maybe a religious few, that Jesus is talking to them, or that God is talking to them, or Mother Mary is talking to them. A lot of people, when they say that out in public, they're like, they're treated like they're pariahs.
Exactly. Tell me about it. I mean, we get an awful lot of abuse because people simply cannot believe what we're doing. But I mean, I'll tell you the story of the first time that we saw Jesus. We were chanting. We had, in the beginning, I couldn't control the energies it took years for me to learn the difference of energies and what was taking place. So we actually had spirits come in and tell us they were Jesus, and we knew it wasn't so. So one night we're channeling, and the spirit comes in, and it felt different. I mean, it was one powerful energy. And he said it's Jesus, and he says he has a message for me. Well, I don't believe it. So the session ends, and I'm saying, Connie, so we had another imposter, and that was it. So about a week later, the same spirit with the powerful energy comes in. And the message is, I know you have doubts, and I don't blame you. So I'm going to give you the power to heal. I'll give you a prayer. And he writes out this special prayer that we copy down on the board. And it's a prayer of healing. And he gives me a name. And he says, no, go heal this person. I say, who is it? You will find out. So I go out. I was speaking at a convention in Salt Lake. Turns out that the woman that's in charge of the convention is the name that he gave me. So I hear in my head, go heal her. So I walk up. I said, do you mind? And he said, there was a heart problem. I said, do you mind if I say the prayer for you for your heart problem? So I say the prayer, and she just passed about 6 months ago. And that was like 8 years ago. So I guess it worked. Who knows? But anyway, there's another woman sitting there, and I can hear her talking to her friend. And she's saying she's incapacitated with chronic migraine headaches. So in my head, I hear, go heal her. I walk over and I said, do you care if I heal try to say a prayer and see if I can help your migraine? She said, no, do anything. I said the prayer for her. Within an hour, her migraines were gone, and she hadn't had one for 7 years. And I've used the prayer probably for 30 different people. I've said it for people in, experimental cancer care, and they're in remission, and it works. So, but this is how he proved to me that I truly was channeling messages from Jesus. And
Powerful.
it gets a little better yet too. So I was back in Pennsylvania 5 years ago, watching a football game, and all of a sudden I start to have a heart attack, a real one. And I didn't want to miss the end of the football game, so I put off going to the hospital. and about 2 a.m, I told my wife, I think we got to go to the hospital. And they get in, start to test, and they go, oh my God, you're having a heart attack. You got all this heart damage. They physically come in and show me the damage on the monitor. And they said, we have got to get you into surgery right away, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm waiting to go into surgery, and I got my eyes closed, and I'm laying there. And all of a sudden, in my head, through the third eye, I see things a little different than others. I can see this approaching. And I look, and it comes up right in front of me, and it's an angel. Comes up in front of my forehead, flies off. So I told Connie, I said, well, surgery's going to be fine. Don't worry. I just got my signal. I just saw an angel. They go in, they do this whole procedure, and they wake me up. And I said, okay, guys, how many stents did we do? And what happened?
Hold that thought. We'll find out when we return. Barry Strohm, channeling spirit energy, spirits, past lives, historic greats, all on Spaced Out Radio, coming up right after this. It's an amazing story. So let's not forget where we left off, so that way when we come back, So far, so good. You got everybody sitting on the edge of their seats, my man.
Well, I got a lot of them. I'm going to tell you, we get done with this one, I'm going to tell you the story of me seeing a real alien.
Mm,
Mm. With
that's
proof.
my juice. That's my juice right there.
With proof.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't wait. Thurston Howell the Third, how are you? And SG Nav Spotter, thanks for coming on in. All right. Dang nabbit, commercial breaks, Pixie Lara. Now, don't forget, I got to remind everybody here, otherwise Kira will get mad at me. Actually, I'll get mad at myself, too. I just like bugging Kira. Don't forget to put May 10th through 12th, 2024 on your calendar. Hi, Mac Geek, because we are all heading to Reno for the 3rd annual SOR fan party. Geek Calgary, how you doing, my man? That's at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. Book your hotel today. VIP tickets for our event are $100. Regular tickets are $60. On the Friday night, you get the free show because we're going to have a radio show there. And then right after that, the VIP party, followed on Saturday by a ghost tour with Merle and a Skywatch that night with Melinda Leslie. Sunday is just a hangout and party it up night before we all say goodbye on Monday. It is the 3rd annual one, and we want to see all of you there. Hi, Alex Sanchez. Go to info@spacedoutradio.com. Info@spacedoutradio.com. We're going to put your name on the list. Okay, you got to make your payment by April 10th. By April 10th, you got to make your payment. And Kathy Evans, how are you? Last year, we had over 60 people there. We're also going to have many people who you've heard on this show before. Examples, Merle, Melinda Leslie, Jim Goodall, Michael Schratt might be there, Geraldine Orozco, Lorian Fenton, Tim Senor. Yes, the resident Timbit is going to be there, and many, many more. We're going to gather a list here very, very soon, and I'm going to put it on out there, and we're going to see who shows up. Everyone is invited. You're wondering if you need an invite or not? No, because you're already invited. So show on up and put your name on the list at info@spacedoutradio.com. Katie Page is going to be there as well. Info@spacedoutradio.com. We want to see you all there in Reno. So come join us, okay? I promise you it's going to be a lot of fun. Promise you. Mm-hmm. There we go. I got it out, Barry. I got it out. Mm-hmm. All right. Let us continue on here.
Okay.
We've got about 2 minutes here, Barry.
Okay. I don't think I ever told you my wife is an abductee. A real one.
You did. You did tell me that. Hello, little Marky Spender. How are you, Timber Hunter? It's my best friend. He's sitting at work right now in the bitter cold with his bare chest eating Cheetos. Woo Train Riders DG, welcome to SOR chat. And yeah. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. And we do not have ugly swag, people. Nothing ugly. Mm-hmm. Proud to say that I actually passed my course this weekend. I was off taking a hunting course, and I passed my course with flying colors. Now in the Canadian way, I got to go get my firearms license so I can actually put that hunting course into action this year. Mm-hmm. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell, as we are here 7 days a week for your listening audience. I sure did, Timber Hunter. I had a great teacher in Tackleberry. Yes. All right, 30 seconds here, guys. Thanks, Guy. Appreciate it. Gizmo, I know. I know I won't. I know I won't. All right, everybody. Thank you to W. Decker, T-Bone, and Louie for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do. Here we go, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Reminder to all of you, in case you've missed it, you can check out all of our archives for free. Just go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon. You can join us in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go with Barry Strohm, channeling author, gets all of his books written through spirit using a talking board, and he's got 10 books out, which can be found on Amazon. Number 11 is underway. And Barry, right before the break, we stopped at a critical point of you getting a message.
We stopped at the point where I almost died. Yes.
Yes.
That is always critical, especially for us to speak to spirits.
Right.
So anyway, when the commercial came up, I was telling the story that I'd had the procedure to put stents in so my heart could get oxygen and cure the damage. So it was over, and they woke me up, and I'm laying there, and I said, "Okay, guys, how many stents did we do?" And the surgeon says, "We didn't do any because we couldn't find any damage." I said, "Wait a minute. You showed it to me on the monitor. There was no question that you guys thought I was going to die." And I go from, "You're going to die," to "no damage," right? And I've just gone through all this. He said, "We cannot explain it. I guarantee you that we've checked everything. Your heart is healthy and you have absolutely no heart damage." So they wheel me out of the room, and I'm laying there in recovery. And in my head, I hear this voice just as clear as can be. And it says, "If I can have you heal others, I can heal you as well." God had created 100% medical miracle and cured my heart attack.
Wow.
I mean, it's provable. I mean, it's the real deal. And I've got a few problems with my heart, but I'm still going strong. So I guess we're still working with it. But that's probably the strongest spiritual story that I have. But he absolutely proved his presence by curing my heart attack.
Beautiful. Beautiful to know.
Yes.
Barry, I mean, out of everything you've experienced with this, I know you've become a true believer in not only what spirit has to say, but, in the words that you have channeled over the years. What is one of the greatest messages you have got from the board?
Well, as we progress with the board, I started to realize that when I was hitting the letters, I was hearing the words in my head. So we haven't really used the board now for probably 6-7 years, or 5. I would guess closer to 5. But really, what I now have the ability to do is simply speak the words of spirits, and it's just like I'm having a conversation. So it's really gotten a lot easier for us. But the board, for years, it was a crutch that we had to use. But as I've progressed with what we've been able to do, I mean, I can basically speak with almost any spirit you want to talk to. I mean, the last book, we channeled 20 different archangels for their messages. The book before that, we channeled the Prophet Muhammad, and he gave us, like 40,000 words for that book. So we've done a ton of things in the last couple of years, but right now it's just anybody that you would want to channel. We can basically have a conversation with that spirit. So things have gotten pretty bizarre, to say the least.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, okay, so okay, so here's one of the things that I remember from when we first started talking years ago
Uh-huh.
is Spirit told you you had 11 books to write before your time on this planet is over.
Correct.
You are now in your 80s. You're
Yes.
on book number 11 now.
Yes.
Doesn't this scare you?
Not at all. Not at all. I can honestly sit here and tell you, I do not fear death. I mean, I got a lot of things I want to do yet, but I have such an understanding of what's on the other side that I have no fear of it. I mean, I really don't. I mean, when I was having the heart attack and I really had a pretty good chance to depart, I had no fear of it. It's out of my hands. I mean, it's something we're all going to face, and I simply know what's over there. I mean, I've talked to so many different spirits, so many holy spirits, so many angels. I've seen angels. I've seen a bunch of angels. I know they're very real. I mean, I've talked to all my family members, my father, my mother, all my departed family, my friends that have passed. I've talked to them, and they're all at ease. They're all in this wonderful place. And I'm doing what they sent me back to do, and I have no fear of it. I mean, I was going to tell you the story of me seeing an alien.
Right.
We were in our apartment in Pennsylvania, and I was writing the 2 alien books, Aliens Among Us and Spirits Speak of the Universe. And while we were doing it, I was channeling an alien. His name was Moo, and he came in, introduced himself, said that they wanted to have books written because of the disclosure that was coming, and that he would give me the information and he'd be with us 2 to 3 years, but then he would leave because he had another mission he had to go on. So we channeled Moo for over 2 years. So I'd written the first one, and we were asleep in our apartment. Now, my wife Connie has been abducted. Absolutely, we know all the details. One thing about channeling an alien, they can tell you what took place. But I woke up in the middle of the night, and I sat up and I looked over, and there were windows there, and I could see the profile of this big figure standing by my bed. I went, uh-oh. And this thing turned, and I thought, well, I must be dreaming. I cleared my head, and I was clearly awake now. And I looked at it, and it's a reptilian standing about 6.5, 7 foot, and it's got a short reptilian nose. It turns and looks at me and smiles and knocks me right back out just like that. So I wake up in the morning and I'm going, whoa, what happened? Did I see it? Did I dream it? And I never told anybody about the smile thing. I mean, that would be really pushing it with my wife, because I kind of thought she had been abducted again, and I'd watched it take place. So I told you about my friends teaching us channeling out in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
So I called them and I said, "Are you guys available tonight? Because I have to ask you a question." And they said, "Yes." So we got on Skype that night. Now they have absolute zero idea of what took place. Okay. No idea whatsoever. So I said, I said, Moo, would you please come in for them in Salt Lake? And they said, he's here with us. And I said, Moo, did I see an alien last night? In Salt Lake City, on their channeling board, they get the message, yes, and did you see him smile at you? And nobody knew the smile thing, let alone they had no idea what the question was going to be.
Wow.
So that's about as real as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the story of Moo because Moo actually came through on one of your channeling sessions on this show. And if
Uh-huh.
people go back a few years and type in your name on our YouTube channel, Barry Strohm, they'd be able to actually listen to that cast where you channeled Moo to come in and say hello.
Yes. Yeah, we've actually been channeling. He was from a planet called Robe, ROBBE, and Moo was a blue alien. So we've actually been channeling. Now Moo's gone; he's on some other mission, but they sent us another blue alien to channel with. So we've done a couple more recent ones with him.
And who's this newbie?
Um, his name is unpronounceable because we can't. But he said just call him Fred.
Nice.
So we can channel with Fred the alien. That's we've been doing that back and forth now for probably a year.
And what does Fred have to say?
Basically says the same thing. Basically, the same thing that Moo told us. We're asking him a lot of questions about disclosure and what's going on right now, and he's answered all those questions for us. You know, they told us that disclosure was going to start in the year 2020, and it basically did. And it's coming very rapidly now. And he's commenting on some of the things that people are seeing and what's taking place.
And what's his thoughts on the way it's being taken care of?
He thinks our government's a bunch of idiots. That it's, you know, it's time. We've got to do it now. What he said was that social media has created situations where the governments absolutely can no longer keep this a secret.
Yeah. And I've heard something to that effect as well. I mean, maybe not from the channeling side, but from the human side of everything as well. I mean, uh, the idea behind the channeling aspect of whether it's aliens or whether it's, spirit. I mean, does everybody have the same kind of message for you, or do you go for specific messages?
No, they always have this basically the same message no matter who we speak with. There's only one truth about the other side, and no matter who we speak with, generally we get the same messages concerning the same situation. When I was writing the books, I would try to verify the facts that we put into books from different spirits, and everything that we get checks out. Now, we may not check out with what other people say, but our work always checks out.
A lot of times when you're channeling spirits, the messages are usually very vague. How do you look into getting more precise, in depth answers?
Depends on the spirits that we channel. We have this show called Channeling History. We've been doing it for 3 years now. And we channel with historic figures. So we can ask them specific questions and have them give specific answers for us. Last night on the show, we had Scalia, Ginsburg, and Sandra O'Connor on. And we actually did a roundtable discussion where I would throw out a technical question and each of them would answer the same question. And the answers would truly reflect what their opinions were in life. But in certain instances, their ideas have changed since they got on the other side. We saw that with Justice Ginsburg with some of her more liberal ideas. But we did an hour of roundtable discussions last night with those three famous spirits. And it was really interesting because it was in detail. I mean, they were referring to notes, to which amendments it was applying to. As I asked them some of the questions that the Supreme Court is facing this term. And it was really an interesting show last night. But we had a lot of detail. And anybody that would have known anything about those justices would realize that, yes, that's the spirits we had talking to us last night.
How often do you channel?
Every day. I can't hide from them.
Okay, and getting so getting back to the fact that you are only supposed to write 11 books, and then has Spirit giving you a timeline of after those 11 books what's going to happen?
No. But they have told me that I do have some other things that need to be done. Like there's probably a 12th book that I already have the information that they want written. So my guess is they're going to make me do an extra one at least. Strange life I live, to say the least.
Okay, so do you prefer channeling spirits compared to, say, things like aliens or cryptids?
No, I enjoy all of them. We've channeled with Bigfoot. We've channeled aliens. We've never done some of the cryptics, but I mean, we have done those, and it's been very, very interesting. We've done them live on radio shows, so and I mean, anybody listening has got to say this guy is really nuts, that he cannot possibly be doing all this. But we don't charge for anything, so I have no profit motive in this. We simply do this to help people, and we get some pretty good. I mean, we help a lot of people around the world with this.
And you do it for free?
Yeah, sure. It's spiritual. It's a gift. I just feel that I cannot take advantage of a gift that God has given me to help others.
How much has this brought you closer to God, to life after death, to absolutely everything?
Incredibly close. Incredibly close. Everybody has soul histories from pre-incarnations through prior lives and things. So I have the gift of knowing many of my prior lives, and some of them are very amazing. I've had spirits come to me and tell me that they've lifed with me. George Patton came to me and told me that he and I were brothers in a lifetime one time. So when you truly get to understand what's taking place around you, it is an absolutely amazing world that we all live in.
It really is. I mean, what has made life more special for you since you started doing this? And what do the rest of us miss out on?
It's an incredible feeling when you get an email from somebody that you've never met that tells you that you've brought them closer to understanding spirituality and that you've changed their life for the better. And this happens quite often now. We get people that truly do pay close attention, and it's been amazing. It's just it's an amazing life. I get up in the mornings, I never know what's going to happen. I've helped people. I've done many things. One time, we had an opportunity to work with a police department, and they had a crime that they couldn't solve. And I actually let the detectives channel the murder victim and ask them questions.
Oh, wow.
And the first thing they did was she gave them the name of their top suspect because he was the one who killed her. So we truly have the ability to help people, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It's just, I was in the sand and gravel and stone quarry business all my life, so it's a bit different.
Mm-hmm. No, and I can appreciate that and see that, and I'm looking at everything as we got about 3 minutes to go here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Barry Strohm is our guest. I'm looking at the idea, because I have channeled before, and I know what it's like. I'm curious if you could explain to our audience, what is it like for you to channel spirit? What do you go through?
Uh, I don't. I'm in a very light trance when I'm doing it, and quite often I don't really remember a lot of what I say. Uh, I often have to go back and look at transcripts or listen to the shows. Excuse me. We do a podcast on Wednesday morning called A Weekly Message from Jesus. And we've been doing it for 3 years now. And we actually channel a live message. And we took 60 of them and put them in my 8th book, which was called Messages God for a Modern World. But we have a lot of people listen to these messages every week, and they're wonderful messages. People feel the energy when they hear them. It's, I mean, it's something that's very difficult to describe. But if people pay attention to the messages, and they're non-denominational, by the way, it's not just a Christian message, but it's a message for anyone of any religion. And they're so simple. He goes into detail about the simplicity of his teachings versus the complexity of how his words appear in the Gospels. So it's very interesting stuff.
I can see where it'd be interesting, and every day is a new adventure for anything that's kind of going on. I mean, for you, it's never boring, is it?
Oh, no, no. And I never know when they're going to get me up in the middle of the night with an idea and want to talk either.
Right. I mean, who? Just give a few names that you've channeled over the years.
I've channeled all 12 of the disciples. I have channeled all of the Greek philosophers, the great generals like Napoleon. We just did Napoleon, George Patton, and Dwight Eisenhower in the same show. We've compared military strategies through those 3 generals and how history changed warfare. You would be very hard pressed to name a spirit that I haven't channeled, to be honest with you.
How much fun is it?
It's fun. It's incredibly educational. Imagine being able to learn history from the spirits that truly lived the event, to know the truth of it.
Well, on that note, Barry, when we get back from the break at the top of the hour, we're not only going to take some audience questions for you, but we're also going to look at some of the biggest messages that you have received from some of these spirits, maybe even Bigfoot. Barry Strohm, you can find his books on Amazon. There's 10 of them. Number 11 is on the way very, very soon. Channeling Spirits. We're going to have a great second hour here on Spaced Out Radio, so make sure you tune us on in as we continue with hour 2 next. All right, my friend. I'm just going to allow the questions to come on in. Make sure you put your questions in capital letters. They are easier for me to find. And hi, Stephanie Jackson. How are you? And Barry, I'm just going to step away for a quick bathroom break.
Sure, go
I'm
ahead.
going to put
Feel
you
free.
in the back room, and I'll be right back. Okay. So bear with me, guys. We don't need to mute Barry. Let's just go like this. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm back. Put those on. And let me just bring Barry back here. And we'll go like that. Hey, buddy.
Hi there.
Let's see who else has got questions here. All right. What's in Dave's paper bag? That's easy. That's actually my long hair. Yes, I still have my hair. Weird, eh? Mm-hmm. Wow, lots of questions for you so far. Flat Six, how you doing? And Zenzabil, how you doing, buddy? Cypher Veritas, welcome to SOR chat. Kafunia, how are you? Amy WC looking lovely tonight. Yay, nice to see you. Okay, thank you to our super chatters. Pix, Linda, T-Bone, W. Decker, and Louie. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Lanieri. Lanieri is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well tonight, and you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go with Barry Strohm. He is the guy who sits around and channels spirits for a living. He's got 10 books out. They could all be read on Amazon. You can pick them on up for your library. Barry, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, it's an honor. I'm so glad we got back together again. Join it.
Oh, yes. And we'll do it again. I promise. Won't be 5 years, but
I'm going to hold you to it.
Good. Please do. Please do. All right. Let us start off with some audience questions here.
Okay.
Because we got a bunch of them. And then we're going to get to what it's like to channel Bigfoot.
We can probably actually channel one if you want.
Well, we'll try that. We might try that a little bit later. How about that?
That sounds like a plan.
All right. Let's start off with time travel here. Barry, if I get a Ouija board to contact spirits myself, is that a bad idea?
It can be a terrible idea. When you open a channel to the other side, you have to be able to control what takes place. When the very first time that they ever started to teach us to use a board, they also gave us a prayer of protection. The spirits themselves gave us this prayer. We typed it out and we actually fastened it to the back of the board. But you have to be able to control the spirits that come through. Evil can come through just as quick. Whenever we do a radio show, Connie always says this prayer of protection on the show. So we don't play with it. We understand it. And if you don't have a firm belief in the protections of God, don't play with a Ouija board.
That sounds like a good piece of advice right there.
Oh, yeah. No, you can have a real problem.
Very true. Okay, let's move on to another question here from our audience. Let's go to Kim. Do they ever tell you something you couldn't have guessed?
Oh heavens, all the time. I mean, it's we don't play guessing games with them at all. It's You have to understand how this works. There's 7 realms of heaven. Souls that are in the upper realms have much more energy and strength than individuals that are in the middle or lower realms. The really good spirits are in the upper realms. And I mean, we have people calling all the time and giving information, and I don't guess. Whatever comes out, I have no control over the words that I'm going to speak. I've had spirits come in. For instance, we did a show with Gandhi one time. I wound up doing the entire show with an Indian accent, and I can't do accents. So the words are not mine. I do not know what they are. When I sit down on Wednesday mornings for that message from Jesus, I have absolutely no idea what he's going to say. None whatsoever.
So you don't go in with any preconceived notions, is what you're saying.
No. I mean, we did in the beginning, they would give us predictions to prove that what I was doing was accurate. I mean, one time they gave us fact that there was going to be an earthquake, as I remember, in Puerto Rico, and they hit it within a week, and I had actually posted it. I posted 6 months before it happened that the last pope was going to retire. So believe me, there's things that nobody guesses that I'm told.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Ange in Australia. Do you channel by writing the information down, or is it telepathic or a knowing?
I speak the words, and then I will record them, and then I will, if I want the transcripts, I'll just do an automated transcript. But I never have any idea what I'm going to say. So I absolutely have to record what we do.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to T-Bone. Have you ever channeled Edgar Casey?
Absolutely. We have a show up on YouTube where we spend an hour with him.
And what does he have to say?
He was very interesting to talk to. He didn't, I mean, he was very forthcoming. We asked him questions. We talked about his life. He told us many things. But the video's up on YouTube. It's probably 2-3 years old now. But we absolutely did spend an hour with him.
Did he get into his own prophecies?
Some of them that he talked about, some that were accurate and some that weren't.
Let's go to Aunt Joanne. What religion do you follow?
None. I follow only the words that I'm given. The words are very simple. I mean, the message we hear every week is the golden rule. Don't do anything to anybody that you don't want done to yourself. But I have no organized religion that I follow. I've done messages for Hindu. I've done Buddha. We've done Buddha multiple times. And I've written a whole book for the Prophet Muhammad. So I'm an equal opportunity religion speaker.
I love it. I love it. All right, continuing on here. Kim is wondering, what about music and arts? Have you ever dealt in those realms?
Yes, we have actually the Archangel Sandalphon is the archangel of music and art. And I have a chapter in my Archangel book from her where she speaks about the music and the arts. We've channeled Mozart, Beethoven, a couple of the other greats. We've done Grateful Dead. We've been very interested in actually speaking to a lot of the musical people. John Lennon did a great interview with him. So, but Sandolphin is a really interesting archangel to speak to about that.
What did John Lennon have to say?
The main thing was how shocked he was when he was killed. He said the first thing he realized is he was looking down at his body. That's what I remember most out of it.
Still a sad, sad story.
Oh, absolutely. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. He's a very good soul, by the way. He's very interesting to talk to. His video's up on, this stuff's all up on YouTube.
All right, let's go to Paramarv. You mentioned channeling all 12 disciples. Did Judas mention having any regrets?
Okay. Now you are opening a subject that is going to go a direction that absolutely nobody is going to understand or probably believe. Before Jesus came back, all of the souls that he selected to come with him had served him many times. So all the 12 disciples were souls that were seventh level that he knew he could trust. His entire life was laid out in his life plan. He knew exactly what was going to take place. He knew that John the Baptist was going to start his ministries. He knew he'd minister for 3 years. And he also knew that how he was going to die. He knew that he was going to be crucified so that he could resurrect. Now, in his life plan, there could be no mistake when the Romans came for him. What would have happened if the 12 disciples on the Mount of Olives would all have said, "I am Jesus"? A Spartacus moment. And what would have happened if the Romans got the wrong person? Because Jesus needed to be crucified so that people would remember his death and so that he could resurrect. And there could be no mistake. So when his life plan was laid out, Judas was selected to point him out to the Romans so that there could be no mistake. So that the Romans would get the right person and that the proper person would be crucified. That was the time of the death of our Lord, and there could be no mistakes. Judas did not realize that the Jewish priests were going to kill him. They told Judas that they would pay him to point him out so that they could honor him and speak with him. They lied to Judas. And Judas never realized what his life plan was. Generally, a life plan will never allow you to commit suicide. But they realized that Judas would have such guilt when he found out what happened. They allowed him to commit suicide so that he could return to heaven immediately, so that he could realize that he had actually been chosen to point Jesus out to the Romans. So in life, Judas had incredible regrets because he did not understand the full impact of how detailed the life plan of Jesus really was. And that is why he commits suicide so fast. And that was actually part of his life plan. You weren't expecting that answer, were you?
No, definitely.
We did an hour show, The Truth About Judas. It's worth going in to listen to because we actually channel him.
All right, let's move on to another question from our audience here. Let's go to Nikki. What would be your best advice for discerning whether a spirit is really who they say they are?
You have to ask them specific questions. And if they can answer specific questions, you can be fairly certain. I have extremely strong guides, spirit guides. And basically they screen anything that comes in that wants to come into me. And they will help weaker spirits speak, and they'll do a lot of things. But for an individual that can't control the energies, it can be very, very difficult.
How come?
Because most individuals cannot control the environment when they open a channel to the other side. For instance, if you're an atheist, the last thing you would ever want to do is open a channel to the other side, because you're going to invite evil spirits. I mean, I've done a lot of shows with exorcists, and evil is very, very real. There are definitely evil spirits. There's evil energy that's basically throughout everywhere, but there are spirits that are evil that can come through, and there are instances where evils can take over a person's body, especially if you do not have the protections that you need. I mean, as I said, before we do any show where we channel, where we think there might be any opportunity for some bad stuff to come in, we say that prayer every show.
Anything to protect yourself.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of
The strong foundation of faith that you have is your best protection.
right.
And when you have doubts, you can always call on Michael, Archangel. Michael is very good at it. Gabriel can help you with it. There's many archangels that can also help protect you.
Let's move on to another question. Let's go to Nikki in Seattle. Barry, do you have any memories of being ET abducted or of being medically worked on by extraterrestrials?
No, and I asked the question if I was ever abducted, and they told me that I was not. But my wife was, and she has no memory of it. She only has this space of time that was lost, that she missed. She was driving up the interstate in Florida, and all of a sudden she finds herself 15 miles further ahead than what she remembers. And that was when they took her with a shapeshifter.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to Pixie Lara. Barry, what kind of preparation do you do beforehand, if any? And do spirits ever just show up and say, hey, you're on, so to speak?
Oh, yeah. Before I know that I'm going to be doing a show and where I'm going to be channeling, I usually try to just simply clear my mind and relax for maybe 15 minutes before. I might try to ask the guides, what's going to happen, who's going to come through. They generally won't tell me. But it's just simply being relaxed and open-minded and having the confidence that the words that I'm speaking are not mine. It's kind of bizarre, all of it, but since I've done in the beginning, I worked a lot harder at this, but it's pretty easy now.
The hardest thing when I started channeling, because I got thrown into it, night
Mhm.
number one of my woo-ness and my weirdness, it started with channeling. And I'd never channeled before. And it's very hard because, when the messages and the voices are coming through, you want to say what they're saying, but that human aspect of it all is you want to talk too. You want to be asking questions and you want to be a part of it instead of being the channeler. And how long did it take you to get through that part?
Years. It's the whole process of learning to really do this the way we do it now Probably took 5-6 years to put it all together, because I was using the channeling board as a crutch, because I was falling back on it, because
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of confidence that you need. I mean, the guides finally came through and said, "Stop, just say the words that you're hearing. Don't worry about it. You do not need the board." And from that point on, we didn't use it.
Right. Okay. Well, let us continue here. We got a lot of people lined up for questions. Let's go to Dizzy here. Barry, do you help cross earthbound spirits? Have you learned how to open and close portals?
Okay, this is an interesting subject. Generally, spirits always have free will. You got free will on both sides. This is when you're a human, you have free will. I have tried to help spirits cross over, and I'm very ineffective at it. On the battlefield, I have channeled many soldiers that did not even know they died. They're in the channel of the unknowing dead. I've asked, for instance, I fought at Gettysburg, so I can go out and talk with the soldiers that I fought with that were killed there. And I asked them, I said, "Why don't you guys move on?" And the answer was, "Because these damn Yankees are still shooting at us." So, I mean, there's no time on the other side, so there's really no push for it. I have a photograph of an angel picking a soldier off the battlefield. And I think that finally it is the angels that help these souls in that particular instance to move on. But I have been totally ineffective at helping to have the souls move on if they're not ready. We've had spirit attachments to oil paintings in the store, and they wanted no part to move on. It's amazing how free will works on both sides.
It really does. I mean, think of the hell that some of those people need, or that are going through, that are continually fighting those battles, whether it's Gettysburg, whether it's World War One, World War Two, or some of the older wars, like going back in time. I mean, that has got to be hell day after day after day.
It is. It is. We channeled with a Confederate colonel at Gettysburg that was in the precise spot he had been 150 years earlier at the battle. I talked to him and I asked questions, very, very detailed. And he had absolutely no idea that he was dead. I mean, he came up, we were sitting at a picnic table with the board, and he comes up and he says, "What is this manner of dress?" Because the women had shorts and baseball caps on. And he goes, "I must be dreaming." And I mean, I started asking him all these really hard details, and there was no doubt he had just left the battle. In his mind, he had these soldiers with him. He had a group of cavalry. We asked him to come up so we could talk to them. He said, "Will you guarantee my safety?" It was the 4th of July. The fireworks started, and he thought it was Union artillery. I have a picture of a Confederate. We were flying a Confederate flag because we knew we wanted to try to talk with these guys. And I have a picture of a Confederate soldier standing there looking at the Confederate flag. But they had no idea whatsoever that they were dead.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Barry, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Barry Strohm, Channeling Spirits. He's got 10 books out. They can be found all on Amazon, and they're all channeled by the spirits themselves. And all he does is the translation. An 11th book is underway, maybe a 12th in the near future. A great guest tonight, Barry Strohm. We continue with audience questions when we return on Spaced Out Radio for the second half. We will be right back, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll see you on the other side. All right, we got lots of questions for the next half hour, everybody.
Okay.
So I'm going to cut the questions off there, and then we could see if we could get Barry in to talk about some Sasquatch after that.
Oh, we can do it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, but we'll try and get to it. We will try our best.
Yeah, we'll just let you ask the questions.
Mm-hmm. I will try and get them all in there. I'll ask a couple right now while we're on the break.
Okay.
Sandra wants to know if you've ever taken the spirit board or channeled anybody from Sachs Bridge in Gettysburg.
I've talked to the spirits on Sachs Bridge. I didn't take the board out, but I've talked with spirits and photographed them and saw them. It's quite a place.
Lee wants to know, are the pictures you take in your books?
They're in the Haunting and History book. There's about 220 pictures in it.
All right. Let me see here. Ange is wondering if you have healing abilities when you're channeling.
Generally, I do it through prayer. I repeat the prayer that Jesus gave me to heal. And I often have to hear the command to go do it, because if suffering and sickness is part of the life plan, quite often they won't heal. There's reasons why they heal, and they don't do it all the time. But generally, I'll know whether it's going to work or not.
Right. All right. Let us go to Kaysen. Can you channel people who are possibly reincarnated? If so, how?
No, if they're back, I can't unless they're doing a split. It is possible that that humans can do split lives and be in two places at once, but it's rare. I've done it one time in my prior lives.
Joe is wondering if you've ever channeled anybody who is truly evil.
No, they will absolutely block anybody that's evil, and we will never ever ask for them. The first command they ever gave us when we started was never ask for evil.
Dizzy wants to know, what is Jesus's true name? Is Jesus Christ and Egregore Tulpa and Yeshua his correct names?
I am not really sure what the Aramaic name that they called him was. He just always goes. He doesn't complicate things. He keeps it simple.
Anya is wondering what a channeling board is.
It's simply a board that the spirits can spell out messages on.
POTUS wants to know, have you ever channeled another you?
Another me.
Yes.
No, because my soul is present here, so there'd be no way I could do that. I have channeled with many spirits that lived prior lives with me.
All right. Hold on here. Here's Super. Dave, 2 people are remote viewing you now. A third is trying. Wonderful. Human or not?
I'm sorry.
This is for me here.
Oh,
2 people are remote viewing you now. A third is trying. Okay, I'll see if I can pick them up. Peter Benton, how you doing? Thank you for the that supernova. I appreciate that. Eve is wondering, can a spirit guide be incarnated in my current life as a friend?
it would be a possibility, but probably not, because that guide has to be around when the soul returns, because it is one most familiar with the life plan.
Kason is wondering about channeling Buddha. You've done that a few times.
Yep, videos on YouTube.
All right, hold on. It's one man, one woman. I can't pick up the third yet. Have you, and Nikki wants to know, have you ever channeled spirits who were walk-ins at one time?
Possibly.
All right.
There are definitely walk-ins, but they don't usually identify.
All right, that's enough questions. I'll have enough for the next half hour. Thank you to Louis Times 2, W. Decker, T-Bone, Linda, Pix, and Time Travel for the super chats. Here we go. We're talking channeling tonight with Barry Strohm. My name is Dave Scott. Very glad to have you here tonight on Spaced Out Radio as we are having a great time. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, we have Barry Strohm. He's a channeler. He's an author for spirits. 10 books out that can be found on Amazon. Make sure you check them on out to add them to your own collection. Barry, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, enjoying it, loving it.
Plethora of questions from our audience here. Start off with Sandra here on Vancouver Island. Does one always know when they meet someone from a past life?
No. For instance, if you have, if it's in your life plan, you'll meet your soulmate. They will guarantee that you meet her or him, but that your personality may have changed in life and you may not get along at that point because it may have changed from the time that you made that plan together. But you may feel something, but you won't always know. They will try to give you multiple shots at it. You know, you might meet a soulmate, not get along, maybe get together later in life. But your guides will try to move you to where your life plan wants you to go.
Let's go to Ange in Australia. Barry, is there any protection techniques you use before a channeling session?
It'll depend. As I say, we always use that prayer of protection before we do open channels on one of our shows. But I didn't do anything tonight because my guides, they told me everything was going to be fine, so we don't need it. But if I was to accompany someone on an paranormal investigation, I would start with a special prayer because I wouldn't know what was taking place. But generally, I can pretty much control who we're speaking with.
Let's go to Cypher. Have you ever channeled and shaken hands or physically had contact during a session? If so, what did it feel like?
Oh, it's amazing. You can feel that energy spot. Quite often I'll have a spirit put his arm around my shoulder. I can feel that. Sometimes it's cold. Sometimes it's an energy feeling. Generally, when the spirits come into the room, I'll feel an energy cloud with them. You know, there's a lot of touch and feel with this thing.
What do you mean touch and feel?
Well, it's hard to describe. Sometimes it would be like if I had hair, it should be standing up. That type of thing. You know how the hair stands up on your arms where there's energy?
Yes.
That's what it feels like, mostly.
Okay, cool. I think all of us have felt what that feels like.
Yes.
Let's go to Lee the Bee. Is the prayer of protection the same as the unity pop?
I have no idea what unity pop is.
Me either. Can you then tell us the prayer of prevention?
Oh, I was afraid
Protection.
Connie almost always says that. But any prayer is just simply a conversation with God. If I have any doubts, I don't get fancy with it. I might say, Michael, can you please help me with this one and protect me? Or Father, please protect me from evil. It's that simple. Just have a conversation with God.
Okay, it's a good conversation. Let's go to time travel here. Can evil spirits hurt you physically or just haunt you?
No, they can hurt you physically. I've done multiple interviews with exorcists, one of which had an evil spirit throw him into a swimming pool one time.
That doesn't sound like fun.
No, that is the last occupation I would ever want.
Lyra wants to know, did you ever channel any of the non-Christian, Catholic, etc. deities or ascended masters, Hindu, Celtic, pagan, etc.?
Yes. I would think the Prophet Muhammad would certainly come in there. I've done most of them. I've never done, I've done witches, which I guess some people would consider pagan, but basically they're all believers in God as well. I've never done evil witches, but yes to all the above.
What are their messages like?
They're the same. The universal message of God is live a good life, do unto others you want them to do unto you. Don't show anger, don't show hatred. Teach the young, have a strong foundation of faith. It's all the same. When you break down what the ancients of all the religions spoke, you find it's all the same. It's not their words have been manipulated through the ages so that you can't recognize the words that any of them spoke. But the messages are all the same. God is universal. There's one God. God, Allah, however you want to refer to him.
Right. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go to another one here. A pair of questions from Vanessa. Was Mary Magdalene the 13th disciple and or Jesus's wife?
Well, first of all, she was a female disciple. She was very close to Jesus, but she was definitely not his wife. Jesus was married. His wife's name was Toba, and Jesus and Toba had 5 children. He lives a normal life until he's 28 years old. He did not want to stand out to the Romans because he didn't want anybody interfering with his ministries when they were to come. When Mary Magdalene was epileptic, and Jesus cures her. Mary's parents are very wealthy, and her parents actually become major contributors to the ministries of Jesus. You think in terms of 12, but there were probably 50 to 60 in the group that traveled with him. There were many followers that history's lost their name. They had wives, children with them. No one ever thinks about how expensive it was for Jesus to travel in this group. There was no Super 8 or any places for them to stay. They had to be fed. And it was actually Mary's parents that did the major contributions to pay for the ministries. She was very close to Jesus. She was the first after the resurrection to see him. And she was a disciple. She went out and she spoke mainly to women, and she was martyred during one of her speeches. The husbands of the women to which she was speaking came in and killed her, and she was one of his best disciples.
Very cool. Excellent. All right. Follow-up question from Vanessa. When speaking with Jesus, he had mentioned Mary Magdalene or the Divine Sophia.
I've never heard him mention Sophia.
All right. Let's go to Joe. Don't know if it was asked, but what's it like to channel Bigfoot or any other cryptids?
Bigfoot's like channeling any other spirit. human energy, soul energies are the same. Alien energies have the same soul energies humans have. Anybody that's walking the earth has reincarnated in a prior life as an alien. There's only one type of energy of souls in our galaxy. And soul energies were created when the galaxy or when the universe was created. That's billions and billions of years ago. Humans walked the earth, 300,000 years? So you got to ask yourself where your soul energy was before humans walked the earth. The reason I can channel aliens is because they just simply are soul energies that chose to reincarnate as an alien in that past life. I've lived many more lives as an alien than I have as a human. It's just the way it is for all of us. So that is why I have the ability to channel with an energy that was an alien that has passed, because that energy goes to the same heaven we go to. And the same thing goes for Bigfoot. Bigfoot is simply interdimensional. That's why we don't see them. And they just have access. Heaven's a dimension, it's all around us. There's multiple dimensions. It's not just heaven, but there's other dimensions. And Bigfoot just simply lives in multiple dimensions. But they have the same soul energies as any human. So that's why I can talk to them.
Beautiful. Love that answer. What's it like connecting with them?
It's
What
fun.
does it feel like?
It feels like channeling with anybody else. It basically has no different feel. The guides speak the language that you can understand. I mean, many people are going to say, well, why aren't you speaking Bigfootish? Well, I can't. That's why when I speak to Napoleon, who spoke French, we're speaking English and he'll speak English to me. I may even have an accent. As I said, when I talked to Gandhi, I had an Indian accent. Channeled Billy the Kid, and I spoke with a Western accent like he spoke. So it's always in a language that we can understand, that I can understand.
Awesome. All right, Barry, let's continue on here as we got a question from Eve. Can someone's spirit guide ever be incarnated? Actually, we asked that question. I apologize. Let's go to Kim. What's the best way to protect yourself, Barry?
Have a firm belief in God. Have a firm belief that he will look after and protect you, and that you fear no evil because of it. Very simple.
Well, that sounds easy enough. Ange in Australia. Barry, have you channeled interdimensional beings before?
Oh, Bigfoot's interdimensional, yes.
What about interdimensional aliens or time travelers?
Yes. We've channeled multiple aliens. That's how I wrote the 2 books. And time travel. Okay. Time travel. When you're on the other side and you're in the upper realms of heaven, you have the ability to move forward and back. As you go into the lower levels, you lose that ability. But when the spirit guides make up your life plan, they have to see the future to make that life plan, right? So when you're on the other side, you have the ability to see forward and backwards. There's no time as such. It's described as a type of spiral, and it's like going through it's really complicated. I've never been able to totally understand it. Moose, when I asked Moo to explain it to me, and his first comment was, "You're never going to understand this," and he was right. But you have to have the ability to look forward and back. Your life plan is based on karmas that you created in a past life. So they have to be able to look at that past life, and they have to adapt those karmas to how you are going to live the life in the future. So they have to look to the future. So guides can look forward and back.
Love it. All right, Barry, let's go to Paramarv, who is asking, have you ever been able to channel someone in a coma?
I have talked to souls that are in a coma and are preparing for death. When the soul enters, the soul can enter and leave the body once the coma starts and as you're approaching the final time. And I have talked to spirits that were waiting to pass.
And what's the feeling on that?
Sadness, because it's always happened with friends.
Gotcha. Eve would like to know, why are UFO abductees so often shown scenes of war?
So that humans learn the lesson to avoid war, because that is the ultimate destruction for humans, is use of weapons of mass destructions. And the greatest danger to human evolution is war.
True that. And it's funny considering that the ETs that have been channeled all basically say the same thing. You know, stop being so violent so you can join us in the evolution.
That's right. They don't mean us any harm. They're trying to help us. If they meant us harm, we'd all be gone with their technologies.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to picks here. What single spirit or channel is the one which impacted you the most spiritually?
Oh, Jesus.
Outside of Jesus.
Mary, the mother of Jesus, she is an incredible soul. When she comes in, the whole room lights up.
What's it like when she's around?
In the beginning, when she would come around, you would feel this energy and you would just have tears running down your face. I mean, you would feel this like ultimate love. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But in the beginning, I had a hard time controlling myself that I could even talk to her. But now, I mean, we've done so many sessions with her and gotten so many messages but I always do feel her energy when she comes in.
Every spirit's energy feel different to you?
Similar. The Holy Spirits all feel pretty similar. If there's a negative energy comes in, I can pick up that one real quick and get rid of it.
And how do you get rid of them?
I say, Father, please remove this spirit and protect me from this energy.
Easy enough.
Yep.
Dizzy wants to know, have you ever had conversations with fae folk?
What are fae folk?
Fairies?
Oh, I photographed them. I got probably 30 pictures of fairies. I've never had conversations with them, but I was doing the fairies back before I could do the mental channeling. So just simply haven't tried since that. They're all over the battlefield at Gettysburg.
Andrew in the UK would like to know, did you ask Jesus when he is coming back?
Jesus will never come back in the form of Jesus. If God decides, Jesus was God incarnate. There is a distinct possibility that God will decide to return, but it will not be in the form of Jesus. It will be in it'll be in another form. And there will never be an end of days. God will never destroy humans. That is simply something that came out of Revelations. And the church made it up for so everybody feared God instead of loving him.
Is there any way you could channel this is from Ange? And thank you, Ange. It's making me laugh a little bit. Barry, I lost my passport. Can't find my passport anywhere. Any way you could channel to find out where it is in my house?
Uh, Do you have a messy garage?
No, I have a carport.
I think it fell out into her carport, and I'm hearing it rained or a storm washed it away, but it's gone.
Mm.
Don't know.
Mm. I don't want to hear that. Let's go to Zenzabil. What about a soul in states of hypothermia going down that tunnel towards the light? Can you channel that?
No, I've never tried. I mean, it's a situation. I mean, he's heading for an NDE. it's a, it's not. It's. I mean, that's. I've never ever tried to channel someone that was going into hypothermia.
How about animals? What about dogs and cats when they're about to cross over or have crossed over? Do they still show the same energy as they did on this side?
No, no. They animals have a. They basically know when it's time. Their time to pass. I mean, I've seen it. We had a German Shepherd, and he just simply went into the woods, and he looked at Connie, said goodbye to her, went into the woods, and we never saw him again. So they know. It's only humans that try to extend the lives of animals beyond what what they know their time of passing. They got better. In many ways, animals know much more than we do.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. They're incredibly smart. I mean, incredibly.
Joe would like to know if you've ever found out anything in any of your channeling sessions, whether the Ark of the Covenant still exists.
It does, yes. They will not tell me where it is.
Well, let's just throw this out there. Probably at the Vatican, where everything else is.
I've heard them hint towards Ethiopia.
Do you think they're hiding it just out in the open?
No, it's really well hidden. They don't want anybody ever finding out.
Last question from our audience tonight. What form will Jesus return? Please be specific. Thanks, Deb.
He will not. First of all, I don't know for sure that he will, but he has the messages we have received that if he decides that he does, it will be another form. And that's all I know. There's no way to be specific. He does not tell me everything.
Well, let's see if we can sneak one more in. Let's see here. Willard wants to know from astral projection and remote viewing and telepathic telepathy from visions. I don't understand the question, Willard.
Yeah.
I apologize. You got to be more specific than that next time when we get a question on. Barry, tell everybody where they can find your books.
The best way, if you want an autograph, which who knows if you want it or not, is go to my website, barrystrohm.com. If you want to pick them up on Amazon, just put my name in there and search the books on amazon.com. If you want to see any of our videos, everything is up on our YouTube channel. We're at 560 of them. They go back many years. You can see in my name.
Barry Strohm, we're going to do this again later on this year. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you.
Very much appreciate it. Coming up next, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. Then Courtney Marcassani with the UFO Report. Hour 3 is next. That was fun, my man.
Yeah, it was. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
Never got to talk to Bigfoot.
We'll do it next time. We'll bring you
Okay.
back in a couple months.
Okay. Just let me know.
We'll do, buddy. Take care.
Oh, whenever you want.
Thanks.
Bye.
Love you, bud. Say hi to Connie for us.
Oh, I'll do it. Thank you.
Give her a big hug. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. How awesome was Barry Strohm? That was a good one. Not my cough. Barry. Hellion Beast, how you doing? Take a break, people. I'll be right back. All right, we are back. We are back. Susie B. Reminder to everybody, you can go to info at spacedoutradio.com, info at spacedoutradio.com, and book your tickets for the third annual SOR fan party. This year, we're going to Reno, Nevada, May 10th through 12th. It's going to be a great time. VIP tickets are $100 and regular tickets are $60. You're going to, if you're a VIP, which 99% were last year, You get a swag bag filled with goodies, and you get to meet up with a bunch of people who've been on this show. We're going to have a big list coming out soon. And we're going to get to hang out with you guys. You get a live radio show that we're going to do. You get a VIP party. You get a ghost tour, a sky watch, and you get to hang out with all of us. For those who went last year and the year before, they'll tell you it's worth it. Do it again. Come join us. It's a lot of fun. And you know what? You need a break. And all the people that we're bringing are there for you. They want to hang out with you. So if you want to go for dinner with Jim Goodall or talk UFOs with Science Bob over breakfast, you just invite them and they do it because they're there for you. This is better than any conference. Okay. So just hang out. It's at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. Book your hotel today and let's get to it. Thank you tonight to Louis ×2, W. Decker, T-Bone, Linda, Pix, Time Traveler, and Deb for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love. And don't forget to shop at our store, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag. No ugly swag. Here we go, everybody.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Lanieri. Lanieri is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Filippov. Emma Filippov was born on January 6, 1986. She went missing on November 8, 2012, when she was 26 years old. She was last seen in front of the Empress Hotel in Victoria, British Columbia. In the fall of 2011, Emma came to Victoria from Perth, Ontario. She briefly worked at the Redfish Bluefish seafood restaurant in Victoria's Inner Harbor. However, the job was seasonal, which led Emma to quit on October 31, 2012. She promised her colleagues that she would return in the spring. Emma, who police believe was preparing to move back to Ontario, hired a tow truck on November 21 to tow her 1993 Mazda MPV to the Chateau Victoria parking garage. Emma's family was unaware that she'd been staying on and off at the Sandy Merriman House Women's Shelter since February. On November 23, security footage captured Emma at the Victoria YMCA. She entered, left, and entered again multiple times, possibly to avoid someone outside. Before she went missing, Emma had called her mother in Ontario multiple times, asking if she could come back home. Her tone would dramatically shift during each conversation. During their last call, Emma's mother discovered that Emma had been staying at the Sandy Merriman house, and she promptly arranged to fly out to see her. Emma's last words to her mother were, quote, "I don't know how I can face you," end quote. Her mother arrived at the Sandy Merriman house around 11 p.m. on the 28th. On November 28th, Emma was seen in a video captured by a 7-Eleven store on Government Street. She was purchasing a prepaid cell phone and appeared hesitant while leaving the store, as if she was checking the street outside. Later, Emma returned to the 7-Eleven and bought a prepaid credit card worth $200. According to reports, she left the Sandy Merriman house around 6 p.m. on that same day. After that, Emma hailed a taxi and asked to be taken to the Victoria International Airport. However, she could not pay the fare and had to exit the cab, although she had the $200 prepaid card. Emma was spotted walking barefoot in front of the Empress Hotel. A person named Dennis Quay called 911 to report that a woman was in severe distress outside the hotel. When the Victoria police arrived, they spoke to Emma for 45 minutes and took her name. They released her after determining she was not a threat to herself or anyone else. However, no one reported seeing her after 8 p.m. that night until a report surfaced in June 2018. Later that evening, the police met Emma's mother at Sandy Merriman House, and by midnight, Emma was classified as a missing person. On September 28, 2012, Emma was last seen near the Empress Hotel in Victoria between 7:15 p.m. and 8 p.m. Victoria police had interviewed her before she disappeared. Her red 1993 Mazda MPV, which contained almost all her belongings, such as her passport, library card, digital camera, clothes, a pillow, assorted ornaments, a laptop, and recently borrowed library books, was found in the Chateau Victoria parking lot. It is believed that she had been using the van as storage. She had spoken to Chateau Victoria staff at 7 a.m. on the morning of her disappearance. At first, the police announced that Emma was, quote, last seen with friends several blocks away on Verdette Avenue between Blanchard and Quadra Streets, end quote. The investigators followed over 200 leads, but found very little information. Although most evidence indicated that Emma was planning to return to her home in Ottawa, there was no concrete proof that she ever left Victoria. Additionally, the cell phone she bought was never activated. According to reports, a credit card belonging to Emma was discovered near the Juan de Fuca Community Center, which is located north of where she went missing. The card was found by a stranger who used it to buy cigarettes. The police traced the purchase made by the stranger. In 2013, Emma's disappearance was featured on an episode of the television program The Fifth Estate. Emma wrote poems about her time in Victoria. None of them indicated that she was being stalked. Even though some of them did suggest that she was depressed, experts who appeared on The Fifth Estate said the writing did not have the hallmarks of self-harm. According to Emma's mother, however, the Sandy Merriman staff claimed that Emma, quote, required both physical and medical intervention, end quote.
Thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for a great story on Among the Missing. You can get more from his channel, youtube.com/Among the Missing. Make sure you hit subscribe when heading on over there. From the missing to the mysterious, we head to the stars with Courtney Marcassani. Here comes the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Courtney Marcassani, you know what? I didn't even tell you this. You were on my TV last night.
How?
Well, I started watching UFO or the TMZ UFO story last night.
Okay.
And there was where they were walking down, they had a camera going down the alleyway towards the hearings where David Grush, David Fravor, and Ryan Graves were. And lo and behold, at one of the front lines, I said, "Oh, there's little Courtney Marcassani."
Did you see my nice flower shirt, the black flower shirt with
Yes,
my messenger bag slung over my back? That's my look.
You had about 1.2 seconds on that video. And
Great. I'm so glad.
Fantastic.
I'm glad they're showing hearing footage still. That's cool.
And you know what? Science Bob was on there, brought up by Ralph Blumenthal. And our good friend Michael Masters was on there. His hair was looking perfect. So it was good.
Yeah,
Was
well,
good.
I saw both of them in New York. I didn't get to talk to Michael Masters. I did get to talk to Bob, though, a little bit before we went into the Inquirer Anomalous conference. So that was nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Lots of news heading into the weekend. Lots of people talking around, whether it's David Grush, whether it's Jeremy Corbell, whether it's Ross Coulthart. Oh, goodness. Richard Dolan was speaking. Jacques Vallée was speaking in an op-ed in the debrief. Where do you want to start tonight?
There was also another article that just went into the Guardian too that was pretty good with, a bunch of different people being quoted. So yeah, there was a fresh round of articles out, probably on the heels of the skiff for the we talked about that, on Friday night for the skiff for Monheim, the Inspector General. So
Mm.
that's probably why.
Well, I mean, it's absolutely amazing all the news that is going around, and it almost feels right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost feels right now that everybody seems to be during this downtime circling their wagons, trying to gather information, whether it's from the private sector, whether it's from the political sector, whether it's from the governmental sector. I mean, what do you see going on right now?
Well, unfortunately, the skiff that happened, the classified briefing, we won't hear many details about that. But there was a Burleson made a comment. He's one of the representatives that was actually there, and he made a comment to the press. A friend sent it to me that said, we know now that David Grush is for real, and some of these programs we can find them. But he said there's obviously been a cover up, and it's going to be really difficult to get into these programs and to access them. So you have somebody who was in the classified briefing essentially saying that they can't even get in, right? Because of clearances and how it's all hidden. So it's going to take time, but I think it was really good that he went on the record and said, we believe Grush and we can get to these programs, a couple of them anyway, from what was reported by Monheim, the Inspector General.
A lot more people are coming out politically supporting David Grush and believing his testimony and what he is saying. Do you think this is a new pattern that we are seeing after all the bombastic play that kind of happened when he first came out? Because he just seems to be dropping new information every few weeks that is just stunning.
Well, I think he's got another op-ed coming, so that's going to be nice for the people who've been waiting patiently. I mean, there's been a lot going on actually. Before Christmas, right before Christmas and the break, Congress's break, we had the Schumer Rounds Amendment getting possibly approved with the NDAA, and the Disclosure Act. So I think that we're just going to have to be patient between these big pushes, right, that they're trying to make happen. But it's hard for the people that are waiting in the downtime because they feel like they're waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing's happening. But a lot is actually happening. So I'm pretty positive about the fact that the classified briefing happened. Everybody was like, this is a nothing burger. There's nothing going to happen. But I was actually feeling pretty good about the skiff happening. Now that it's happened and now that Grush is going to be coming out with another op-ed, I think that it's just going to be more of the same. I don't think it's a new cycle of things. I think it's going to be more of the same because there's so much information's there that they're trying to get out. It just takes a while. It takes time. It takes a while to get it out. So I think this is just more of the same. I don't think it's anything new.
What do you hear is supposed to be coming up next? What's the backroom scoop that you're hearing?
I hear that there's going to be more people that are coming out, more whistleblowers. And you and I talked about this for a while too, that there were whistleblowers waiting in the wings to see what was going to happen with David Grush and to see how he was going to be treated, so that they could come out and share their stories. Because what I'm hearing from some of those individuals and people that are kind of putting everything together is that these folks kind of are reporting on the same thing. They're documenting the program. They're documenting and sharing their part of the compartmentalized programs they worked in, and it's making a picture for Congress to see that it is real, where it is, who was involved, and then they're going to try to find the money. So that's what I'm hearing.
Oh, goodness. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk to you about, if you don't mind, is the fact that we really, really, at least I feel, we're not getting the full picture of what truly is going on. That this is so far beyond just alien life and contact, that there's so many different businesses and side businesses and everything going on. What do you think the public is missing that you're hearing around? I mean, what should the public know?
Well, I don't think the public knows anything, to be honest. This is people who have been studying this phenomenon, not just UFOs, but anomalous phenomenon for a long time. So I don't think the general public knows anything besides, okay, there was a hearing, there's a whistleblower. I have heard from people who are not even in this community, hey, this is news. This seems interesting. And do receive calls from people who know I'm involved with the subject to kind of ask, where should I look or where should I start? But I don't think the general public knows much of anything. Not certainly about the programs, the deep state, how deep it goes, the money, what was discussed in the hearing. So I think that that's going to require a lot more time for people to be educated about this whole field, and that it's not just UFOs. It encompasses a wide range of phenomena.
Yeah, and it also gets deep into what we like to call the disclosure for dollars movement too. I mean, we tend to see a lot of these, people seeming to meet up in private meetings and behind the scenes, whether it's at conferences like Soul or with groups like the Soul Foundation or Galileo Project or anything along those lines. This is where I think we miss out on a lot of this posturing that is going on behind the scenes, and really it's almost like another movement that nobody is talking about publicly.
Yeah, well, I think there's reasons for that. I think that the reasons of the movements behind the scene is because some of this has been taken out of ufology. Honestly, it's been taken out of the ufology community, and there is like a whole academic community that doesn't want to be associated with the ufology community, and so they want to try to make it a separate realm or a separate dynamic to take it out. And so what you find is people, right, the general public going out and trying to find information in media, and it's overwhelming. There's just too much. There's a lot of different histories that, and timelines of this. And so the dollars, the UFO for dollars, disclosure for dollar stuff, I don't have anything to do with that in terms of talking to people about money and how much money has been raised. It would be interesting to have somebody go in and look at how much money has been raised. Like, these big figures who have been involved with ufology for a long time, you always hear how much money they've made. People like Stephen Greer, I hear that a lot about him. Oh, he made a lot of money. He's out of the field now, but he's made his money. I mean, you hear that repeatedly, but it's like all the researchers, they don't make money. They're doing this because of their effort, and it's a grassroots movement, and they're working on it on themselves. So there's a big gap between the people that make money and the rest of us. And so it would be interesting to find out how much people make, in terms of their projects, and how much Lockheed Martin has made on those IRAD monies, right? I mean, it would be interesting to see how much money has really gone onto this in general.
What do you think? Multi-millions, maybe into the billions?
Definitely. I definitely think multi-millions. I mean, you got to look at what people like Lou Elizondo have kind of twigged us on to, like, well, the reason why Lockheed Martin has been, successful is possibly because they got no bid contracts, right? They got no bid contracts, and then their business went off. And so you have to go back and look at these companies, like, for example, like Google got money from the government to start Google, right? And then so did Elon Musk. He got money from the government, right, to start his companies, and so he received a lot of money. So you have to kind of go back and look at how it's all set up, and then there's kind of a formula for it. It's kind of formulaic, the way the government gives these private contractors money, like Bigelow, right? 22 million for them. So I think it's a drop in the bucket. 22 million is nothing. It's nothing when you start to look at all the money that flows into these different
Isn't
types of
that the
tech.
truth? Isn't that the truth? I mean,
Yeah.
it's barely skimming the surface of a coffee cup, to be honest. And I mean, at some point though, do you feel over the next little while that there is going to be some, I don't want to say, use Stephen Bassett's term about the truth embargo, because I think that's been overplayed over the years. But at some point, the transparency embargo has to end, to kind of learn what this is all about and who's really controlling the shots. I mean, we can have all the skiffs that we want. We can have all the information that we are trying to gather, but at some point, there's got to be some hardcore information coming on out, and yet I don't see that happening anytime soon. How about
We
you?
need, yeah, no, I agree with you, Dave. I think we need firsthand witnesses, right? Not just fact, fact, fact information. We actually need firsthand witnesses who were in the programs talking about their experiences with either NHI individually, the craft, right? Putting a hand on the craft. And then we also need somebody who was, able to back up their claims, other witnesses that are, supporting, through declarations, through actual legal declarations that they were there or they support their claims. So we need multiple fronts of evidence. I do think we're going to get some evidence in this year. I do think so, because the way that people are talking, other people have already testified. Besides Grush, other people have already testified to similar things, but there's also a firsthand witness. And then we also need people to talk about the special access programs. That's where we need to go next. So I think that is going to happen. And I think that's one of the reasons why this classified briefing happened, is because this is going to be the next phase where they bring more whistleblowers to the front.
Well, I mean, here's the problem with whistleblowers, though, and I love them. Trust me. I think the more the better that come out, because it adds a lot of credence to the story, Courtney. And I'm sure you would agree. But the problem that we have, that a lot of people are going to start calling out, is if they don't have any evidence with them. Okay. Like storytelling is one thing. We're storytellers around here. That's what we do. I love a good story. Okay. But at some point, if these people are going to be calling out their own government, their own employers, don't we need to see some paperwork or some videos or some actual evidence?
Well, one of the things the hearing brought about was the Holman rule. They talked about the Holman rule, how they would shut the program funding for these programs down, and so they would also find ways to limit their employees from doing work on the program. And so I think it's a threat. There's a lot of people say that it's not a real threat. They're just dangling out there, but I think because there's such partisanship on this issue in Congress right now, I think that might also be another piece on the chessboard that they can play. And so that could possibly bring some evidence if that's the case, because if they shut down the money and they shut down the accounts where the money flows through, or employees that work on this program, even contractors, that would be evidence. That would be one type of evidence. But there's also rumors going around that some of these whistleblowers might know where the programs are run at, right? David Grush already commented that he knows where the buildings are, where the evidence is. And so if this was discussed, right, in a classified briefing with Congress, that evidence would have been brought out potentially in the classified briefing, where the buildings are, where the biologics are. And so you heard one Congressman, Burleson, come out and say, we know where some of this stuff is now, so now we got to go and try and find it. So that could be evidence. It's possible they could bring evidence back out into the public domain.
Do you think the politicians looking into this are afraid to see what that evidence says and bring it into the public eye as well? 20 seconds.
Yeah, no doubt they do, because look at some of the threats that happened. They had to have been threatened to not put some of the things into the Schumer rounds legislation, either threatened to have an opponent be supported financially against them or kick them off committees. So yeah, I'm sure that they're nervous and jerky about what they're going to find. But their job is to find it.
Courtney Marcassani and the UFO Report continues right after these messages on Spaced Out Radio. Oh, the UFO story. Just when you think you're getting a clearer picture, it gets a little bit more blurry, doesn't it? We'll figure it out, or at least try, in the next half hour of the UFO Report with Courtney Marcassani. We'll be right back. Boy, I timed that out well.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So it looked like there was a lot of chatter when I came on. How was your first guest? It looks like there were people that were really into the first guest.
Yeah, Barry Strohm, our resident channeler.
Okay, so he does Afterlife stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I have to write his name down.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Strohm, Strohm.
Yes.
That sounds like a Nordic name, doesn't it? Strohm,
Strong Nordic name.
or maybe German.
Strong. Don't know. Strong nonetheless, though.
So tell me about the TMZ thing.
Oh,
Okay,
it was
I couldn't tell if you cut out. If it was like, the computer locked up and you were frozen, but you were actually taking a moment.
I was taking a moment.
All right.
I found it very, very informative.
Okay.
How do I say this without sounding like a jerk? In my opinion, there were a lot of brilliant people on there,
Mm-hmm.
but in typical fashion, it was the Jeremy Corbell show. And the longer it went on, the more the swearing and the the attitude that Jeremy has. And I like Jeremy. And it bugs me to talk ill of one of his projects, okay? It really does. But it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch because you get, just like his movie on Bob Lazar, you would get, 5 minutes of Jeremy, 1 minute of Bob. 5 minutes of Jeremy, 1 minute of Bob.
So was he the producer?
He had to be. He had to be one of the producers. And, the other thing that, and look, I might get into trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say this, okay? Up until Jeremy Corbell started becoming George Knapp's underling a couple years ago, he has never, ever worded himself as an investigative journalist. And now he
No.
calls himself an investigative journalist.
Oh,
To be
really? Okay.
an investigative journalist, okay, George Knapp to me is an investigative journalist.
Yes.
And he has been for a number of years.
Most definitely.
40, 50 years. Jeremy is a documentarian. He's a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And love or love him or not, okay, I think he's produced some great work. I really do. But I hate with a passion when people steal titles, okay, to
Yeah.
make themselves look better. Okay, Jeremy has been a great, a fantastic voice for the UFO community. Whether going on news angles, he's very smart. He's very connected in. Okay, there's people obviously out there who trust him. Otherwise, he wouldn't get the videos. He wouldn't get the stories. And many may say, "Oh, that's all because of Knapp," or whatever it is. But when you're a title stealer to make yourself look good, that doesn't impress me. In fact, that kind of skews my view of everything. It's like there were a number of people a number of years ago who were stealing the title as journalist or investigative journalist, and they've never worked in the media in their life ever, but they gave themselves a title. I don't
didn't know
like
he was doing that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was doing that. I saw
Yeah.
some of his earlier stuff when he was coming on the scenes before he was affiliated with Knapp, where he was doing his like independent thing.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, if he's stuck with the fact that he's an independent filmmaker or documentarian or whatever, I'd have no problem with it. But you're not a journalist. You've never been a journalist. Okay?
That's a hard job,
That's
and
just
I know quite a few of them, and it's a earned thing. You have to earn it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anyways, here we go with the final half hour. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. I always appreciate each and every one of you tuning us on in. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag, and make sure you check out all of our archives as well. Here we go. Courtney Marcassani here for the final half hour of the UFO Report. Courtney, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. Let's kick it off. What's your next news item?
Well, my next news item is about people. Okay.
Okay.
And Ross Coulthard brought this up on Twitter. He goes, a thought-provoking op-ed from Jacques Vallée asks the question, does UFO disclosure now pose a greater risk today to social stability than if it had happened earlier in decades ago, given the conflicts that divide the world? I thought this was a very, very interesting point because this is something that I have brought up a number of times that I don't think we talk enough of on this show is the effects that are going to happen with non-human intelligence. And let me just, start this article off. I'm going to read a little bit of it to you so you get my point. It starts off by, in the turmoil of world news this week, it wasn't hard to find any occasion to worry. Yet, two novel subjects have also become prominent, each raising alarm from the high-tech laboratories of Silicon Valley to the halls of Congress. They relate to the potential of AI to make humans obsolete and to the global threat implied by the mystery of UFOs, even when reframed as less intimidating UAP, as Pentagon purists prefer. The real problem is the two issues are more closely related than anyone had ever foreseen, and their combination or combined power to disrupt social, business, and perhaps even spiritual realities threatens to become uncontrollable, even if the two constituencies have little in common. The AI conundrum is surprisingly simple to describe. Under cover of anonymity, late last year, senior staffers of OpenAI, a California nonprofit startup, warned that their company's approach to artificial general intelligence was about to unleash systems surpassing humans in most economically valuable tasks. There was one mysterious project called Q. Still, the whistleblowers did not reveal themselves, and no details were given ahead of CEO Sam Altman's return late last month. I mean, so basically, what they're saying, Vallée is saying is, we got to be careful here. Number one, we could put ourselves out of existence due to AI, which could lead to a one world global economy. Or B, people who are struggling right now because of high costs, high interest rates, people have been stressed out more than ever over the last couple of years especially. And here we are now going to throw in the potential that there is more to life than what we know. Can people handle it, Courtney?
Well, it's interesting because I heard this economist talking. She was breaking down inflation, right? Just this is just US. She was just doing US numbers, and they had done a survey around Americans and inflation, and showing that inflation had kind of leveled off a little bit. And in addition, that our employment rates, had gone down. So people had, received more jobs and more jobs were created. And so you would think that it would lessen stress. And she said it's not actually. It's actually increased stress. This is just the US. And she went in and started to talk about all of this stress around money, inflation, and quality of life. And so, do I think, that we're going to be able to handle it? No, I don't think we're going to be handle it. We can't even handle right now inflation. And there's a potential war going on in the Middle East where, shipping lanes are being bombed, and, various countries are getting involved with it. So that's ratcheting up tensions. Could you imagine if you threw in, that there's NHI and they potentially have a base, or we've been working with them, or whatever might be the scenario? Are people going to be able to handle it? Not immediately, no. And if AI is involved with that, definitely not. People are not ready for that. I mean, we're barely ready for dealing with inflation and another potential war. So I do think that the UAP thing and disclosure is also resting on some of that. It hinges on that, some of that, like public safety, public perception. Don't you? I mean, you'd have to look at it. You have to look at it that way, that people will be not super happy in their response to that.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show in the U.S. recently in the last 2 weeks, the first ever non-human McDonald's opened up in the U.S., where everything is done through AI and computer technology, from taking your order right to producing your food, all on computers and AI. I don't like that. Remember when McDonald's used to be a starter job, not a career, a starter's job to get you into the workforce, to get you income, to get you used to how work was going to be. I never worked at McDonald's. I know I had friends who did, but I mean, it wasn't fun for a lot of people. But it was a starting job to get into the working life of scenarios for teenagers and those trying to save money for college. You fast forward to today when people need that, many people need that secondary career just to pay a car bill, or to pay a cell phone bill, or rent, never mind a mortgage. And
It's gonna go
people,
up. It's gonna go
yeah,
up. I mean, with everything that's going on in the Red Sea, it's gonna go up, and the costs are gonna get higher because of things the way they're moving. They're not gonna be able to move a certain way. They're gonna have to take these tankers down below Africa or other routes, right, to get around the war scenario that's happening. So that's gonna cost more. That's gonna make inflation go up higher. I mean, the economics around it is gonna be more money being spent. And so people aren't thrilled about AI, but I think you have to go back to the article itself and look at the way he led into it. Why would Jacques Vallée lead in an article right now about UAPs and AI? Why would that be his lead in? I mean, you have to question his opening line, right? That's usually the hook of an article. And so why would he even bring AI into an op-ed piece right now? Or Ross, whoever it was that led with it.
well, it was Jacques Vallée, and obviously there is going to be a lot of technical advancement the minute that, like literally the minute that any alien species lands on this planet and introduces themselves, and if they are friendly of sorts, it is going to create a technological boom that we have never seen on this planet. It's going to be effective immediately.
Maybe not. Maybe they've been here before. I mean, look at other scenarios. Maybe they've been here in the past. Maybe we have seen them. Maybe we have communicated. Heck, maybe our government has even worked with them. Those are all the rumors that we've heard in the past. We've heard all those rumors before, and we don't know what part of the puzzle is going to come into place here. Now, when you start talking about books like Michael Masters' books about future humans, and this is future human tech, you could actually say, okay, the AI is maybe plausible in that scenario, but we don't know that his research is factual based. He's taken a hypothesis and running it out. So we don't know how AI would be introduced immediately with these beings, or even if that would be their intention. How about all the experiencers that say that their vision showed them that the world was going to be, hitting a breaking point because of technology? Maybe their language and maybe their communication would be that we need to lay off the technology, right? Maybe their intervention would be like, hey, you don't have enough silicone chips, for the next 50 years or whatever. So you take jumps, right? You take jumps into the AI and what AI is controlling. I think it's an interesting question. I don't know that we're going to be controlled by AI. They can't do everything. They can't do everything. You live in Canada, I live in Alaska. What happens when the McDonald's go down at midnight and there's a snowstorm? There's no robots out there shoveling. It's us. It's humans and plows and trucks. I mean, humans have to do real work. So I'm not sure, and I don't know the answer, but I think that it's an interesting question to get people thinking and having thought-provoking discussions about what would it look like and how would people handle it. It's part of the whole litmus test. They're testing us. They want to know how we would psychologically handle it. I think it would take time to absorb all of that. And I think to some degree, AI is already, it's already in the public domain in many ways. We're seeing it working. But whether it's going to take over my car, I'm not going to make that choice. Would you give over your car to have it self-drive you anywhere? No way. It's going to
No.
be supply and demand and what we're going to spend our money on. And that's what it's going to come down to, is the economics of it. Not everybody on this planet is going to drive a Tesla self-driving car. They don't trust it. Not now anyway.
No, not now, and probably not ever. I mean, you look at electric vehicles right now, and there's a case here in British Columbia where a lady got into a minor accident, minor fender bender, and because the battery in her Hyundai electric car was dinged, the insurance company wrote the vehicle off because to replace the battery would cost more than the vehicle. The battery was $60,000 Canadian in her car of a
I
year and
know,
a half.
so it doesn't make sense. It's not economical, and the bottom line doesn't make sense right now. So how is AI going to save us? I do think it is a good question. How is AI connected to UFOs or UAP? That is a good question, because that would be, an alteration. Like maybe the AI connects to the navigation system on a craft, and maybe that's how they're running it, or maybe that's runs their computer. We don't know, but it's a big leap to take that Ross is taking or Jacques Vallée is taking. Now, he's obviously an expert because he did the ARPANET. And so he's been in tune with AI and the internet and all that for a long time. So he's making a valid question and he wants people to listen and he wants to be heard. So that part is important. I just don't take those leaps into the unknown as much, because that would be a rollout system if they want to change everything. I mean, how are they going to change all the gas pumps already for electric cars? They can't. It's not
No,
being, it's not being done.
true.
It's not effective. So AI would take a while to roll it out.
I also worry about people. How are people going to react to this? Because any type of AI slash UFO extraterrestrial story is going to affect every person on this planet. It's going to affect the economy, which affects people. It's going to affect jobs. It's going to affect religion. It's going to affect day-to-day life. Okay, because there are going to be people who are let's just say the most pleasant of extraterrestrials comes down and they're willing to help us with everything, including mowing our lawn and planting a new garden in the spring. Okay, let's just be hypothetical here.
So
But
we're going to use them as slaves
but
to plant our gardens.
no, the point that I'm getting at is the point that I'm getting at is people have become so untrustworthy that anxiety and depression is at a high point, which sets people off. I think we could see a real, depending on how it plays out, a real change in humanity to become potentially more violent, to become, potentially more uh living away from society, moving into the sticks and trying to create their own little humble life again because they're done with everything. I mean, I just see so many negative ramifications, and I'm usually not a negative guy when it comes to stuff like this, but I just don't see a lot of positives about this happening.
Well, use the COVID. Use the COVID as an example. You saw this disease, right, that was covered up, right, in China. They covered up. They tried to cover it up for weeks on end, maybe even months by the time it came out. Remember, it was November, I think in 2019 when it finally came out. But there were rumblings about it that there were people in Wuhan that were sick, and finally, they start seeing these cases all over the world, and it's essentially like the Hot Zone movie, right? That, they can't contain it. And so you saw one type of an emergency response where it shut everything down. And so everything shut down. It was an emergency. It was a health crisis. People moved to the country. People were mass exodus out of New York City, right? They were stopping people at the border in some states, checking them for passports so they could go visit their families. So I think it'll probably be very much the same type of scenario here.
Yeah, and
It'll be
that
the
literally
same,
turns
the
into that,
same type of
that
response.
and that turns into that one world government that we all worry about too. What the World Economic
Yeah, it
Forum is
might. It
trying to
might be the case. Yeah, it might be the case where they say, "Oh, well, there's a new civilization here, and so we need to make it a global government." And I mean, that's what Bush was saying. Bush was saying back in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, he was saying we need a new world order. So, what does that mean now? Most people are going to be against a new world order, but if there's another civilizations here, how would that change it? So I have a hard time just taking leaps, into this is going to be most certain. It's more like going to be a series of things. And it might be an announcement that NHI is here. It might be an announcement that we've worked with them. They're going to slowly roll that out. I mean, I think that that's what this is that we're seeing is a soft disclosure. So people can eventually take this in little by little by little before they say, okay, yeah, they're here.
Well, I hope not. I hope not. I hope it's a lot more pleasant than what we see. But even the people I'm talking to behind the scenes are very uncertain about the future.
Yeah, well,
They're
I'm sure they have reasons to feel the way they feel. I'm not taking away from anybody's, feelings right now because there are a lot of uncertainties and there is still a lot of powerful people obviously involved in this that don't want disclosure.
no, no. And the question is who wins? It's an internal battle right now in Washington, D.C. And, people may say that we are sitting here, um, being fear mongering or something along those lines. But exactly what we are talking about right now is what I'm hearing about these conversations behind the scenes of what's going on.
Yeah, well, the people from the behind the scenes that are moving, trying to make movement and progress happen, and it is a movement. I don't think it's that many people that are behind the scenes working on this, but the ones that are working on it seem to be, either former workers in the programs or people that were high up that knew about the programs, and they have a specific reason for wanting disclosure to happen faster, which is that they want the public to know, before Congress, releases the information because the importance of the NHI. That's what I've heard. That it's because they want people to understand that we're not alone. And maybe we're not alone. Maybe there's a couple different groups involved, and maybe our government has been, in communication or in contact with them. And they want them to know that too. So I could understand why they're feeling maybe a bit negative right now, just because they probably wanted this to be out for a while, and everybody's having to wait. If you only have a handful of people working on it, it's going to take a lot of time and they have to do things, difficult things. So it is frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody, but I think that the public is supportive of this. So many studies and polls have shown that the people want to know. A large majority of the people want to know whether NHI exists. So that's
Well,
going to be helpful.
but it goes into that old Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson line. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
I
You
would
know,
rather know. I would rather know, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you rather know? I mean, even if it changes our lives radically, and even if we don't get the same levels of, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say freedom because I doubt it'll change our freedoms, but maybe it will change some things. We would have to make different decisions in our life. I would still want to know.
No, I do. I bite my tongue
You don't
on
want to
that.
know
Well,
if it's dark. You don't want to know how dark it is. I get that.
here's my thing, okay? And in the world of Dave, and I got a large head. For people who have never seen me, I got a massive melon, okay? And in my large head, it's actually in certain ways very simplistic. I don't like a lot of complication. I think a lot of humans are like that as well, where we don't like a lot of competition. We don't like a lot of, we just want to be left alone and be able to, breathe and maybe have a nice car and have a couple of toys. Not all the toys, but a couple of toys that we can play with and do our own thing, whether it's watch a hockey game or a football game or maybe vacation once a year somewhere. I think most people are satisfied with that, even though they may want more, like winning the lottery or millions or billions or whatever. Because Lord knows I got a spending plan just in case I hit the lottery, But I think when you put people in a situation to look at the bigger picture of what ifs, I think this is a scary topic for a lot of people. And yes, they may want to think that, hey, we want to know, is there life out there in the stars? I think people do want to know that. Do they want to know that people are visiting this or aliens are visiting this planet and they're going to change the whole damn outcome of what humanity is all about? That is what I don't think people are prepared for. And I don't
Well,
think
you have to think about if telepathy in this, this telepathy is real and you can encounter one and they can immediately connect and read your mind and change your emotions, right? That would be a game changer. People might not be so hip about that. That's just one example. If they have the ability to connect with you and they're sentient, that could be a a human rights issue to connect with
could be.
NHI, or if you
Yeah,
want to or
yeah.
not.
I mean, if the aliens are bringing, let's say, some sort of care, like treatment for cancer, all sorts of cancer, extended life, where we could get back to those biblical times where we're living 200, 300, 400 years. If they could cure diseases in children, or even seniors with you know debilitating mental issues that we see. I would love that. Love that. I'm okay with that. But Courtney, we're going to have to continue this conversation at a later date. And it's an important one that we definitely will have. Courtney Marcassani, everybody on the UFO Report, as we have Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if we want to bring a friend, yeah, we got room for them too. Good night. Woohoo! That was fun.
Dude, who you been talking to? Don't let them put those dark thoughts in your mind.
What's that?
I said, dude, who you been talking to? You got to get those dark thoughts out of your mind,
No,
man.
man, I've
No.
thought about that for a long time. It's nothing new. You
It
know,
seemed like a new level.
I
Seemed like you
know,
took it to a new level. That's
I
okay.
know.
I'm happy to do the thought experiment. I'm just saying that, it can get pretty dark. There's some really dark, dark corners.
Yeah. And as long as there is cover up in what we are doing, though, unfortunately, that darkness is going to continue. I mean, it isn't something that I want to think of. Trust me on that.
Well, if people committed crimes, they're definitely going to have to either be given some kind of amnesty, right? Some kind of freedom to talk about what they worked on if they had to commit crimes. I mean, that'll be the first one. They got to give people amnesty. And how long does that amnesty last? How far does it go back? What programs?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I fully agree with you. And trust me when I say this. You know, if it were just about aliens coming here and hanging on out, going fishing, you know, um, exploring the flora and fauna. And I only say that because I never get to say flora and fauna on this show. Okay. And I don't think we use that term enough. Um, Sorry, there's certain terms I just like. Flora and fauna are one of them. I don't know why, but I just do.
I like them as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think it's great to be searching for life's mysteries. I do. But the unfortunate part about it is the deeper I get into this, the more I don't like it because there is so much more to it than I think we could ever truly expect to know. And if the people who we are not allowed to name are truthful about this, it's like, by God, man, like this isn't fun.
They
Yeah.
have to be truthful. First of all, they have to be truthful. They testified in a court of law to the intelligence community and to the Senate. So they have to be truthful. If they lie, they go to jail. If they
No,
give
I
false
understand. I
information or perjure
understand that.
themselves, so they have to share true information. So I wouldn't stick my neck out there just to be a self-aggrandizing glory seeker, because they're going to catch you. They're going to put you in jail. So
Oh,
I think that's like number one at bat. Like, I don't think they're lying. I think they
I'm
had
not
to
saying,
testify
look,
to
I'm
the
not
truth.
saying the whistleblowers are lying, but you know as well as I do, there is a lot of bullshit out there.
Oh
Now,
yeah. Oh
okay,
yeah, it's a cesspool. I'm not saying it's not.
that's
I'm saying if
that's
you're
the stuff
talking
that
about the
scares
select,
me.
if you're
It
talking about
isn't
that
about the
select group.
aliens. The
Yeah.
aliens don't scare me. It's the bullshit that comes along with everything that scares me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think my phone was hacked this morning. So, I
Oh,
wake
good.
up and the whole thing, yeah. So that's probably the CIA. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, great. What do I
Welcome to
have
the
on
club.
there? I had to call Verizon, yeah, wireless. And I'm like, did you do this? Did you do that? They're like, no, no. And so I had to talk to tech support and everything. And I'm like, geez, now I'm getting hacked. So, it's a serious game that we're playing. And, you got to keep your side of the street clean if you can and stay out of trouble if you can. And, not get too close to anything, but you're also trying to get close to information to get it out there, especially with your show. I mean, you're trying to get information to people so that they can, get good product. And I think that that's the trickiness about all of it. And so that's the frustrating thing about seeing people elevate, right, in these closed rooms and what they're doing and what their agenda is versus media and what their agenda is and entertainment. And it's a pretty difficult game to play, I'll say that.
It very much, according that, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's a very difficult game to play, and trying to figure out whose word you can trust, who's feeding you BS. Like, if the public heard half the conversations that not you and I have had, but that you or me have had with other people in this field, people who know, even I wouldn't know who you're talking to, or you wouldn't know who I'm talking to. And you get the reality of what is going on on a human level and an extraterrestrial level or a consciousness level. It's heavy shit.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah, it
real
is. You know, the
heavy.
cover up alone, what has to be done in the cover up alone. I think it was somebody, who was it? I think it might have been Richard Doty, who said that the money that they use for the cover up, just at AFOSI, or, you know, his perspective on it was more, you know, in 1 year than like one program altogether, just to keep the cover up. I mean, when he said that, I was astounded, because I was like, oh my God, just the PSY operations around this stuff is so complex and so much money. So, you know, it's being manipulated on multiple levels. And so even the people, you know, who are working in the programs are being manipulated, and they don't know who's working in other programs or other programs that could possibly help them. So I think that's the biggest thing that's been eye-opening for me, listening to David Grush and other whistleblowers talking about what they go through to share information and to get out of the programs, and how traumatized they are from it. That's been pretty eye-opening for me. I have to say, I wasn't thinking about that in terms of what they go through to get out, to get the truth out. So it's pretty brutal.
Just as you and I are talking about this, guess who gives me a text message? Yours and my private friend.
Oh, really? Is everything okay? Are
Oh,
we are
this
we on the up and up, or did I
this
just
is
get
what I love.
my hand slapped or my face slapped?
No, no. This is about I'd asked a question earlier that he was answering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
that's
good. I'm glad it's nothing bad, because I'm trying to keep myself. I'm trying to keep my karma clean.
that doesn't look too bad for my hair. Looks like I'm ready to go out and party right now.
For sure. Yeah, it's very like Red Hot Chili Peppers, 1990.
Very much like I was thinking Michael Damian, Rock On.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess, you know, this was a good show. Just stay positive, brother. Think about the light, you
Always
know.
am. Always am. Always protected. Hey, badass Billy Gunn, you're an ass man. What's happening? I love that. Oh,
All right.
see, this is what I love. Oh, I missed a bunch of super chats here. This is what I love. Joey, hey, Dave, I suffer from insomnia in New York. I just want you to know I appreciate your late night episodes. You do a great job. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate you, my friend.
I
for
hope
tuning
Joey's asleep right now, because that's 3 o'clock Eastern. So I was doing the late night and staying up till 2 and 3 in the morning with you. And I got to tell you, it's hard. Really messes with
in.
you.
You know, Aussie Ange, thank you, my love, and for passport replacement fund, and Amy WC, love you, dear. Where am I here? Right there. My goodness, I never miss super chats, and I miss those ones. I feel bad. But yeah, man. No, I don't feel bad about it. Just sometimes it's real heavy. And sometimes I wish that the things that we hear behind the scenes, I wish that that we would be able to just spill the beans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I do know. I've had so many conversations with good people over the last week, sharing information, knowledge, how things connect. It's just been unbelievable. It was like everything went up to the next level. I still have like reams and reams of research that I need to go through that was sent to me over the weekend, just to plow through it. And so I feel like a huge elevation just happened between all of our communities to help one another. And I'm really grateful for that, because it's the breakdown between our communities and what people know and the information and the silence that goes on that really messes with us. Where if we all work together, we'd be a lot farther ahead, but we just don't. We kind of get entrenched and stay in our little foxholes. And
Don't
you
you
know,
ever feel though, and I don't mean this to kind of bring the tone down, but I'm just saying this because I fight with this at times, and I think it's a cool fight. Don't you feel though that at times that how small you are taking on this giant juggernaut of black ops in the US government and
yeah.
world governments?
Yeah, like they could follow you around in a van real easy, or put a drone over your house so easy. And so that fight for me is real primal, because I used to believe in a time where we had constitutional rights where they couldn't do that kind of thing. That would be considered illegal, like a sovereign right as an American, that they wouldn't be able to spy on you. And so I have serious issues with that fight. But a lot of us have just had to relent over time, and we can complain about it, but they do what they want. We don't have rights anymore. So yeah, that's a primal one. And like you said, people will go out and live in the country, or they'll start being more private and won't want to be living in communities, be more mistrustful of their neighbors. And all I can say is, learn your skills, get real good about your skills. I've been running 2 miles a day. Like,
I have to start that
get
too.
yourself in shape, man.
I have
Get in
to start
shape.
that too. It's ridiculous. I promised myself I would start working out this week.
Yeah, well, now we've got reasons to. If the things are going to change in this way, then we need to be prepared. I'm actually thinking that way. Would I put, a container down in the ground and live out of there? No.
All I'm
But
saying is,
other people would,
from what I'm seeing right now, to be blunt, I'm having a fun time playing with my hair. From what I'm seeing right now, to be blunt for our audience, the aliens are not the bad guys here. Okay. I don't know how you feel about that, Courtney, but from what I've seen, the aliens aren't the bad guys right now.
It was always a possible scenario that we've done bad things. As an American citizen, I know my government has done bad things. I'm not going to close my eyes and say, oh, yeah, patriotism is awesome, Constitution's awesome. But yeah, we haven't done anything. We've done horrible atrocities. So I'm not going to say that we haven't. And I'm not going to also be an apologist, because you can't go back and take those things back. But I do think that we've been on the wrong side of history many times before in the past. And so it wouldn't surprise me that we weren't the good guys. I wouldn't like it. You want to be the good guys, but we might not be.
I agree. Well, Courtney, it is that time of the night where we have to say goodbye to everybody, because we're going to have a great show tomorrow night. Sean Patrick Hazlitt is going to be talking about weird World War III. How does it happen? What's going to go on? Is it aliens? Is it the Chinese, the North Koreans, the Americans, the Russians? We're going to get into it all tomorrow night. He's an extremely great writer. And what else we got? Merle the next night. Steve Stockton following night. Nikki Williams on Friday with Reincarnation. She's a newbie to you guys. And on Monday, a week from tonight, Courtney, I mentioned this for you. Matt Ford is going to be here. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one. It'll be an interesting one. But on that note, good night, my Courtney. Thank you for your awesome. Talk soon, everybody. Good night.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.